Welcome to On Purpose Ministries, where we, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, help you, my brothers and sisters, find your purpose so you can live in purpose, walk in purpose, and do everything on purpose. I am your sister, Rashida, and we welcome you. So I will be reading from my notes as usual, but this message is regarding the movie The Wizard of Oz, regarding the Kingdom Spouse Journey. The Father had me to watch this word a few weeks ago and has been on me about putting it out, so here we are. Sorry for the delay. I have been battling things myself on my end, so forgive me for the delay. So the three numbers the Most High have shown me repeatedly regarding this word are 211, 717, and 727. So let's look at these numbers. 211 in Hebrew means Ophir, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Ophir, which means gold and fruitful region. 717 in Hebrew means to pluck and to gather. 727 in Hebrew means in the sense of gathering by a box, a chest, or a coffin. So hold on to the meaning of these numbers because it will all make sense the further we get into the word. So we have 211, which means gold and fruitful land. We have 717, which means to gather and to pluck. And we have 727, which means to gather by a box, a chest, or a coffin. So the movie came out in 1939, which the Father had me to look up the meaning, which in Greek, strong concordance, means a longing, a lust, and desire. So Dorothy is the main character of the movie. In the beginning of the movie, she keeps telling people about Mrs., but nobody will listen to her. The older gentleman told her the woman was nothing to be afraid of. They told her to stand up to her. Just like on many of your journeys, it's been going that way it's been going that way because you're either afraid to stand up to these people, you don't know how to stand up to these people, or you simply don't have any fight left in you. So right now, for many of you, these devils are having their way with you, especially attacking your mind, your body, your soul, just all of these attacks coming out of everywhere. So you have stopped praying, or you laid off on praying, reading, fasting, and worshiping like you used to. You're not as dedicated and committed to the promise or the promise keeper anymore. You're fatigued and burnt out. You have no more hope in the promise. You no longer believe that it's going to happen. You're filled with doubt, confusion, frustration, and disappointment. All of these things are consuming you. Many of you are considering handing the promise over because it doesn't feel like it's worth the wait. It doesn't feel like it's worth the sacrifice. It doesn't feel like it's worth the time or energy anymore. You don't want anything to do with the promise, and some of you don't want anything to do with God anymore because you feel like, why would God allow you to go through all this? Because you can't fathom how a God with so much power will not show that power for you. At least that's what you think. Because ain't no way God sent me on this journey to fight against all of this. Ain't no way God told me this man or woman was my spouse and they entertaining all of these other people. Ain't no way God told me to show love to this man or woman when they have not shown me the same love but show me nothing but hate in return. Ain't no way God told me to support them when they don't even support me and never have. How can this be of God when it don't look like him, sound like him, or feel like him? You have allowed what you don't see to cancel out what you have believed this entire time. Some of you are still on the journey, but you no longer believe. You are sitting idle, waiting for God to bring a promise to pass that you no longer believe him for. The enemy will never just hand it over to you. You have to take it by force, and that requires a lot of strength. You need God. You will never be able to do it on your own. You need him. This word is meant to encourage you, to let you know you are not alone in how you feel. Many others feel that way too. And some have completely walked away, but not you. You're still here. Even if you no longer believe, you're still here for a reason, because a part of you still hopes that God will do it. A part of you still wants it to happen for you, and it will, as long as you endure to the end. Remember, without faith it's impossible to please God, but all he requires is a mustard seed. You will see your promise come to pass this time around. If you didn't get it this time around, don't miss it again. So these men are telling Dorothy, stand up to her, to this witch. That's what God is telling you today. Stand up to them. Don't let these devils bully you. Yes, it may seem like in the natural it's more of them than you, but remember, you got angels all around you that you can't even see. Remember what God did for Elijah against the 450 prophets. I think it was 450. But remember what he did against those prophets. Why can't he do the same for you? It doesn't matter how many of them there are. God said it's time to stand up to them. Clear out the land. It's time to make your enemies scatter. Remember, you are not fighting alone. There are more with you in the spirit than it is with them in the physical. They don't stand a chance, and they know that. Even if you don't know that, they are fully aware of that. That's why it's been so hard for you to pray, to fast, to read, to study, to worship, and the list goes on. These things used to just go smooth for you. It didn't take you this much effort to fast, to pray, to study, to read, to worship, to do any of these things. But lately it just seems like it's no interest there. It just seems like it's such a big fight, a struggle to get started doing any of these things because you're fatigued and you're burnt out. Because they know it's power in that. You have put your weapons down. It's time to pick them back up and get these folks up out of your land. Pick up your weapon of praise. Pick up your weapon of worship. Pick up your weapon of prayer. Pick up your weapon of speaking and reading the word. Pick up your weapon of fasting. Pick up your weapon of faith. Pick up your weapon of obedience. Pick up your weapon. Pick your weapons back up, family, and get them out of your land. Stand up to them. As long as your weapons are down, you are defenseless. That's how they're able to cause so much confusion, trouble, and hell in your life, and all of these distractions, because your weapons are down. But as soon as you pick them back up, they will begin to flee. So yes, it feels like they're winning right now, and that's all because your weapons are down. Stop giving them power where they don't have none. Pick your weapons back up, family. So this wicked witch comes and takes Toto, the dog, from Dorothy. She uses her influence to take the dog from them, and it was nothing Dorothy could do. See how the enemy was just able to come into her home and take what belonged to her, and it was nothing she could do to stop her. That's how a lot of us have been robbed in our faces, and it was nothing we could do about it because we didn't have the proper armor on. So the dog ended up escaping and running back home. So Dorothy thought it would be best if they ran away because she knew the witch would come back for him. So as she's running away, she runs into this man who ends up gazing into this crystal, telling her all of these things that was going on in her absence, which causes her to panic and sends her running back home. But on her way home, she got caught up in a storm, a twister. When she gets there, nobody is there because they had already taken shelter. So she ends up getting knocked out. And I just pray whoever this word is for, you catch the revelation that the Most High is giving. Ignore the sorcery and all of the other things that's in the movie and listen to what God is saying. Just like Dorothy, many of us were thrown off our path. We were moved from our post with all of the distractions going on. We allow the noise to silence our voices. We allow the noise to silence God's voice, to question our belief, to cause us to doubt God concerning the promise he has given us, even with all the confirmations that he has sent. The noise was louder. It caused many people to walk away and start looking elsewhere, to get you away from your post. Just like Dorothy, when she ran away from home, all hell broke loose in her life. When you left your post, all that you were covering and protecting was no longer covered anymore because you left your post. Every time you walk away from your post, you leave the door open for the enemy to come in. All this does is causes more problems for you, makes your fight harder and longer. Every time you allow the spirit of offense to come in and decide I'm no longer going to pray for my spouse because he or she did this or that, I'm no longer going to cover them. Every time you lay off praying, reading, fasting, worshiping, every time you put your weapons down, you leave your post and the enemy comes right on in. Dorothy ran away out of fear that the old witch would come back and take what was hers. Just like many of us, we run away every time things get difficult, every time things get challenging, every time things don't go our way. We run, leaving everything we were supposed to cover at our post open for the enemy to come in and have his way. Every time you see your spouse with that counterfeit, you run away. Every time you see the post and the pictures, you run away. Every time you get into a disagreement, you run away. If you would just stop running away and stop putting your weapons down, this will all be over. But we have to stop running. Stop looking for it to be easy. This is not a small promise God has given to you. So it won't be easy for you to obtain. If that's what you're looking for, you might as well stop now, because it will never be easy on this journey. None of these people are willing to leave your land. So you're going to have to put them out. You're going to have to clear out the land. You're going to have to fight, and you can't stop or run away because the enemy is swinging back. It's a fight. It's not supposed to be easy. But as long as you keep your weapons in hand, you will prevail. The enemy won't be able to do anything to you. The enemy won't stand a chance as long as your weapons are up. Just don't put your weapons down when you get discouraged, when you get angry, when you get upset, when you get frustrated. Don't put your weapons down. No matter what, keep fighting. You got this. Stop allowing the enemy to intimidate you with these counterfeits presence, with whatever he has been intimidating you with. Stop allowing it. Don't let it go on any further. Get your fight back. Take your power back. The only reason the enemy is making all of that noise is to distract you. Distract you because he ain't stopping nothing that the Most High has for you. But he surely is slowing it down. As long as he keeps you distracted, as long as he keep you running, as long as he keep you discouraged and frustrated, as long as he keeps you putting those weapons down. So stop running away from the assignment. So Dorothy ends up getting knocked out. She sees all of these strange things happening through the window, and then her bed drops. She walks out of the door to what appears to be a new world or a strange land. She is greeted by this woman who asks her, is she a good witch or a bad witch? Again, pay attention to the message. We know we're not doing that over here on God's side. But the woman asks her, is she a good witch or a bad witch? Because the witch is dead. And they assume that if Dorothy was taking her place, she must be a witch too. Ain't no such thing as a good witch or a bad witch. A witch is a witch. Let me just say that. Dorothy says, no, I'm no witch at all. The woman says, well, is the dog the witch? They were trying to figure out what was going on. Then they shout, the wicked witch is dead at last. So I ended up pausing it when she said this. And the time on the TV was 24 minutes and 56 seconds. So I was led to look those numbers up. And in Hebrew, it means to be sick, to be diseased. So then in the movie, you see the certificate of death. All of these people were celebrating the death of the witch. So as they're celebrating the death of the witch, they're also welcoming Dorothy in. So it's two celebrations going on at one time. One, because the witch is dead, and the evil that was once present is no longer there. Secondly, the angels are rejoicing because the one who was raised up can now take their rightful place. The land is being cleared out, and you better make sure you're prepared for what comes with it. With this new territory, with this level of responsibility, God is trusting you with more. So if you thought this was a struggle to handle what God has trusted you with now, and if you weren't, ready for that, then you won't be ready to move on to what God has for you at this next level, because it's going to be way more than you have now, but you won't be carrying it by yourself. So God is trusting you with more. So that's the only difference. It won't be just you anymore. So Dorothy was given her shoe, the woman's with shoes, and the old witch sister appeared because she was angry about her sister's death. But she was reminded that she had no power there, not in that land. Her putting on those shoes, Dorothy putting on those shoes, represents her taking on that role. The authority over that region, her taking her rightful place. You stepping into the position God has caused you to be in, while removing those who has been occupying your land. The shoes are being placed on your feet, and it's up to you what you would do in this new land that the Father has given you. It's all on you how you decide to handle it. So, the old witch sister coming for revenge represents people who will want to retaliate when you're finally in position. The ones who's not willing to walk away, even after they've been kicked out of the land. That's why you can never put your guard down. You can never put your weapons down, because the enemy is always looking for a way in. He is always looking for something to accuse you of. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. He isn't giving you any rest, so don't give him any. Once you're in the land and everything is cleared out, you have to keep watch. That's what all of this training was for, to prepare you for more, to prepare you for what's beyond this journey. As you step into a position as you step into your position that God has called you to, remember, as long as you stay under God's protection and covering, as long as you stay in his will, no matter what or who tries to retaliate, they won't be able to touch you. Just like the lady told the old witch sister, you have no power here. And she had no choice but to flee. The entire time, Dorothy was trying to figure out how to get back home, but she couldn't go the way that she came. She had to go a different route. For many of you, God is rerouting you. He is setting up many detours. It's not to confuse you, but to confuse your enemies. You see, this entire time they have been able to keep up with your trail. But now God is having you go so many different ways that you can't even keep up. But it's all for your protection. He is eliminating your scent to where those who have been hunting you will no longer be able to find you. They will no longer be able to locate you. They will no longer be able to trace you. They won't be able to keep up anymore. There was a time where it seemed like no matter what you did, they got wind of it. They figured it out somehow. No matter how hard you tried to stay away or stay ahead of them, they always find a way to catch up or be ahead of you. Not anymore. God is rerouting you and is setting you up and protecting you. And he is setting up so many roadblocks and detours that they won't be able to catch up. They won't be able to figure out your next moves because God is keeping them confused. He has confounded them. So don't think it's strange is if God is causing you to move again. If God is causing you to switch jobs again, if He is causing you to change where you're eating and what you're eating again, don't look at these things as strange. He's putting it to where they won't be able to figure you out. They won't be able to plot against you. They won't be able to plan against you. They won't be able to attack you. You can't stay there anymore because that location has been compromised. Too many people know how to find you who shouldn't have access to you anyway. He's rerouting you. They won't be able to find you. They won't see you coming. So the yellow brick road, she meets a scarecrow, a lion, and a tin man. And I want you to look at the yellow brick road as your journey. The scarecrow had no brain. The tin man had no heart. And the lion had no courage. So the witch of the north ends up putting a spell on Dorothy. And one of them yells out, "Get close, she can't run anymore. She wants to rest from exhaustion." Doesn't that sound familiar? Once you get to the end, there's no fight left. You're just ready for everything to be over. You want to finally rest from all of this fighting. And your rest is coming. So in order for Dorothy to get home, she has to meet the odds, but she has to first prove herself, just like we did. Before God gives you the promise, you had to go through a series of training, of tests that you had to pass. You had to prove yourself worthy enough for it. The three men represent us before the journey. The mind, before we came onto this journey, we didn't think the way we think now. We didn't consider God the way we do now. We didn't acknowledge Him in all of our ways like we do now. We didn't seek Him how we do now. The heart, our heart was not after His, but it was after the promise. It was so much hatred in there, envy, jealousy, unforgiveness. Our heart wasn't pure before this journey. The lion, courage. We were cowards. We were more worried about people's opinions of us than God. We were afraid to step out on faith. We weren't bold like we are now. The mind, heart, and courage, we got all of that on this journey. So Dorothy had to bring back the witch broomstick. So the witch ends up stealing the dog, and Dorothy tries to exchange the shoes off her feet for the doll back, but they wouldn't come off. The only way the slippers would come off is if she was dead. That's why the witch was trying to kill her. The promise is unchangeable. Once you get in the land and it's cleared out, that's the only way anybody can take your position is through death. You have to no longer be here on this earth. That's the only way. But as long as you have breath in your body, once you enter in the land, nobody can take your place. And that's why they're fighting so hard to keep you out of it. Because once you take your place and they're wiped out or removed, they can't get back in. Once you and your spouse come into agreement with God's will for your life, it's a wrap for all counterfeits. And that's not just romantic interest. All counterfeits in their life and your life is a wrap. And they know this. That's why they keep putting these hits out on your life, because they don't want you to clear out the land. As long as you're not fighting, they win and they stay right there in position in your land. The witch said there's certain things to do for the spell to work. There's certain things to do for the spell to work. So my question is the spell working in your life? Have you stopped praying? Have you stopped reading? Have you stopped fasting? Have you stopped believing? Have you stopped worshiping? Have you stopped talking to God? Have you stopped obeying God? Is the spell working in your life? So as long as they keep hitting you and them weapons are down, they can do as they please. Strike back, hit back, and finish them. You can't do that if your weapons are down. So let's get to the end of this word. 2:11, which again in Hebrew strong means gold and fruitful region. Your land of milk and honey is here. In this land, you will enjoy it all at once. Everything that God has promised you concerning the promise he has given you will be given to you here in this land. Whatever you haven't received yet will all be released at once. God is bringing it all together. Your finances, your spouse, your new home, new vehicle, your health, your children, everything and everyone connected to this land will reap the harvest of it. Trust me. Wherever you haven't been fruitful at, wherever the devil has been attacking you at, when you get to your land, it will be multiplied. You will be fruitful in all of these areas in your life. The devil is keeping you frustrated in these areas of your life for a reason. All to get you to put your weapons down. Keep them up. No matter how hard it gets, keep those weapons up and take possession of your land. Clear them out. They gotta go. You're entering into a season of your life where everything you have planted must come up. It must yield its fruits. This is your harvest season. It was not all for nothing. God is going to reward you for your obedience. You're entering in the land where everything God has promised you is about to manifest openly. It's up to you to believe. It's up to you to stay at your post. It's up to you to keep your weapons up. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can do it for me. So get ready for your winning streak. It seems like you have been taking nothing but losses, nothing but hits. And all of this is about to turn. So enter in. The land is fruitful and is waiting on your arrival. Now 7:17 means to gather and pluck. To pluck means to take hold of something and quickly remove it from its place. Listen, the feast we have all been waiting on is about to happen. Remember the word from earlier this year, the spring weddings. If you missed it this year or if it wasn't your time, please don't miss it this time if you missed it. And if it wasn't your time, please be prepared so that you don't miss it. Do whatever God is telling you to do to get there. I'll be doing another word on that soon, but God is preparing the wedding feast for the ones who didn't make it the first round or it just wasn't your time yet. Take it to God so you will know if you just, God, did I miss it? What did I miss? The wedding was this year my time or was it just not my time yet? Either way, how do I prepare so that I won't miss it this time around? He is setting the table. He is gathering everyone and putting them in their rightful place. He is arranging things. It's going to happen. Don't stress about that. You just need to make sure you show up to the feast prepared. Don't be so distracted by what you don't see or can't see that you be caught off guard because you no longer believe. It's going to happen when whatever God has promised you. He don't lie. He can't lie. And he surely does not fail. If it wasn't your time, then it's okay. Now is the time. God is taking hold of everyone in your land that doesn't belong there and quickly removing them out of your land. They must go. The feast will be kept. All of those placeholders are being removed quickly. 7:27 means to gather by box, chest, or coffin through death. I know a lot of people don't like to hear those kind of words, but I must get them how he gives them to me. Some people, unfortunately, even with the warnings from the Most High to move, even after being put out of the land, they won't move on. So the only way for them to be removed is through death. Some of these witches and warlocks must die because they refuse to repent and they refuse to leave. Just like in the movie, both witches ended up dying because they refused to stop pursuing Dorothy. And that's how it is with some of these people. They refuse to let go. That's why some will end up in prison and some will end up dead. Some will repent and go on about their business. But that won't be the case for everyone. And unfortunately, you have no say in how God ends things and how he clears out your land. So the word is God is gathering everyone as he puts on the finishing touches to your wedding feast. He's plucking, taking hold of everyone who doesn't belong there and quickly removing those people out of your land who should have never been there in the first place. He is putting you in position to take possession of your fruitful land. It's finally your time not to receive part of your promise, but the whole thing, even things God didn't tell you about because he wanted to surprise you. You don't know everything he has in store for you. Just know it's about to get good. The land is being cleared out. Get back on your post and don't move again. Pick your weapons back up and fight until the end. It's your turn now. It's time to take the land. So pick those weapons back up. Stay encouraged. I pray this message encourages whoever it is for. But don't put those weapons down again. No matter what you see, hear, or go through, don't put the weapons down again. God is clearing out your land. So stay encouraged, family. Shalom.